Hey guys, just a disclaimer, this video is going to be a pretty long one. There's not going to be any visual representation to really see, so if you're doing something mindless, or you're just laying down or chilling or whatever, this would be the perfect time to watch this video. If you're doing something important, save this video for later, but yeah, without further ado, here you go. Yeah. Alright. So, I've been seeing a lot of this lately as far as guys wanting to give up on life, guys wanting to give up on the workforce or dating or any of that sort of stuff, guys feeling alone, miserable, sad, depressed, feel like they have to hold their emotions in, just all sorts of different things, feel like they're outcasts of outcasts, society ignores them, just you name it. And then you get videos like Sigma males and modern women being terrible. Just a bunch of shit that spews into your brain kind of thing if you're feeling these different types of emotions. Which, some of these videos kind of reflect a little bit of positive light, while others kind of just fill you with a lot of brain rot in regards to thinking, oh, this is how life is meant to be. Oh, you're supposed to just do this and nothing else. Oh, it's like, I could go into specifics with the whole thing, but it's you guys have probably seen those videos and you kind of got the idea as to what I'm referring to. But there's different things that these guys have given up on towards like further education, the workforce, making friends, dating, working out, making financial investments, just all sorts of different stuff. So it's kind of one of those, we start from the beginning of when these problems really do arise. And technically it even goes before what I'm about to say too in certain aspects, and I'll get to that later too. So it's the whole thing of upon graduation or getting out of high school. Whether you dropped out or actually graduated, whatever you did. So, it's a matter of, once you get that piece of paper, or once you get out of that hellhole, what now? What do you do now? Do you go to college? You go to university? You get a part-time job? Do you go to do a full-time job that requires no degree, college degree of some sort? What do you do? Well, a lot of people tend to think, oh, well, let's go to college. That will make me good money, and I'll find a high-paying job right then and there once I get my degree, is what they're taught by fucking schools. A lot of these schools have prepped you for college when you don't even know if you want to do it in the first place. They give you the idea that you're supposed to know what you want to do while you're in school, which is the most unrealistic thing ever. And then there's the stereotype of you have to graduate college at this specific age, you have to get done within this amount of years. And it's a little ludicrous in a sense. It's like, yes, you want to try to find what your ideal job at that point in time was and kind of go from there, and then have it as a plan B in the back of your pocket if you go to a different job and you didn't like it. So let's say we decided we wanted to be a financial advisor of some sort. Put a few years in college, graduate, and it turns out you fucking hate it. Okay, what do you do then? Do you go back to college? Do you just find a different job that doesn't require the whole degree system? What do you do? You're gonna be a warehouse worker? You're gonna work as a cashier? It's like, what are you gonna do? So, the problem with this whole situation is, while you are in college full time and you're barely working, let alone if working during that time, you're pretty much not gaining much work experience, let alone any at all. And if you're not gaining any work experience, you don't have a resume to build up on your work ethics. You don't learn certain things that you need to learn once you're done with college. So then it's like, okay, what do you do? What's the best answer at that rate? So I'll give you a little bit of a story of my own. So for me, after graduating, I was kind of met with a few things. At the time, I was kind of afraid of driving. I didn't like the idea of driving, so I was kind of thrown into getting into testing for my driver's license. I had a learner's, but I didn't have the full-blown driver's license yet. I had to immediately get a part-time job because I couldn't work at my family store anymore. That's a different discussion for another day. But I couldn't do that because it was stressing me out being around them, and I needed to get outside experience, and they believed that too. And I had to go to college. I get overwhelmed with all this stuff. What happens in a couple months? Whenever college starts? I fucking drop it all up. I stopped the part-time job. I stopped the college. I pretty much was at the point of giving up. I had to go to an outpatient facility to reevaluate my life. And I really didn't. I was so hooked on video games and isolation because for me back then, I was doing the last 2 years of high school online because I wasn't getting along with people in my public school, and it was bothering me to the point I couldn't pay attention. But transferring to online school didn't help that either. It made it to where I didn't have to deal with assholes, sure, but it added a new problem. Social interactions. It got rid of that. Now, yes, it got rid of negative social interactions, but it got rid of social interactions altogether. That's bad. And I'll get to that later too. So then I got to where I completely had the breakdown, and then eventually I got out of that facility and started working at a new place for about a couple years. I was building a pretty good resume. I was slowly making myself up in the field because I knew I had to have a solid work ethic. And at that time, I was kind of juggling if I wanted to go back to college, what I wanted to go to college for, if I was in the right mindset, affordability. Well, I was doing trade school. I wasn't going to university, so it wasn't as expensive. Well, I should say technical college is what I went for. So I decided to go back at one point, and I was making pretty good progress. And then all of a sudden, I started taking online classes, and the way they teach you, at least this is what it was for me, they just kind of throw you random information and then give you tests that probably has nothing to do with it. Or you'll have to really dig deep for that information. But you could probably find it online because people copy and pasted those same test answers and questions thousands of times through different colleges. So it was pretty much a copy pasta. You could go on places like Quizlet and other different places that would literally just give you the answer and then you get a free A, but you haven't learned anything. You haven't gained shit. So it demotivated me. I was getting good grades, but I wasn't learning anything. I was trying to learn with some of the presentations and assignments they gave. Tests that didn't teach me anything, but the assignments, I tried to get a good grasp on it, but I wasn't really feeling it. So I stopped again. As far as the job, I decided to look at it, try to go for greener pastures. I was offered a position outside of retail, doing work with RVs. Well, I don't like heights, and it required me to go up on top of the RV, and it was surrounded by a complete asphalt, and I'm like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. So I quit on the first day, and I was absolutely devastated. I was beating myself up about it, and I went back to work at the family store. I wasn't happy yet again. I was miserable working there. I wasn't focused on college, and I was back to square one. And then I go to a warehouse job for about a couple months, and I get tired of that. There was another point, trying to remember when. There was another point where I had to go back to outpatient facility again too. I think that was after I quit the job, that one job on the first day. Probably around that time. So that happened. And then just a drawback, I eventually got my license probably around the time I got that job. I was there for a couple years. But I eventually, after I got sick of the warehouse job, I applied back to the job I was at for a couple years doing the retail work. And they brought me back, but the pay wasn't as good as the warehouse job. So I was a little bummed out, but I still took it. So I'm barely running on scraps for finances. I'm starting to climb up on bills that I'm needing to take, and I'm not happy. I haven't been able to have much social interactions outside of work because I've been so focused on working, or I've been at home gaming because I'm trying to de-stress, and that was the only way I could think of de-stressing. A lot of guys, a lot of people in general, I should even say, tend to go either on social media, online, all that sort of stuff to de-stress. And I'll get to that later too. There's a lot of this stuff I'm going to get. There's a reason I'm talking about all this stuff, and I'll bring it back. So, had all that happen, and eventually, after, I want to say a year of working back at this job, unhappy, trying to de-stress, I eventually come across someone that I was helping on a project, and this is the one time I was at the right place at the right time, and he offered me a job, and it's a job I'm currently working at till this day. I've been at it for a little over a year now. So, how did I manage to get in that lucky position? Simple. I put myself out there and I gave him my A game every single day, despite being miserable. Maybe I had to put a facade, maybe I had to put a mask on, but I pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and it drove me insane, but I kept doing it because I was looking for that pot of gold that was hidden somewhere around me. Or finding the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess you could say. That's another analogy. But it was the whole thing of, what can I do to find success or happiness or anything? Because at that time, I wasn't even considering talking to friends or dating or any of that stuff. Probably around whenever I got back at the retail job again, I was starting to do jiu-jitsu. So I was getting a little bit of interaction with people, and I was getting a physical activity and a hobby that I was into that was more healthier than the gaming stuff, but I was still heavily gaming around that time too. So then, whenever I got the job, I was starting to make more money. That's great. And I had good hours. That's also great. They were able to work around my time as far as important doctor's appointments because of past trauma experiences and shit, mainly therapy or whatever. But I was able to get workarounds on that. I got good benefits, solid pay. I'm pretty sure they have 401k and other stuff too. But it started making me think more about, I was able to solve one of my biggest problems, which was work. So what can I work on next while I'm enjoying this ride and making it work out, and I'm grinding as much as I can on the time that I'm not grinding there? What can I do to progress my life and make it better? So then it was the whole idea of, okay, let's think about getting friends, going back and considering doing the dating scene, hitting the gym, even though I'm doing jujitsu, which is great for cardio. Thinking about investments, and even considering the whole thing about current family and starting a new one, all that sort of stuff. So I'm currently in the stage to where I'm trying to figure some of this stuff out, but I will kind of explain what I've already gotten taken care of. So as far as college, I'm going back strictly to get certified in my my HVAC stuff, because that's the new job I got, is into HVAC construction or whatever. So I got to where I'm starting to take classes for that, but I'm doing kind of like small portions each semester, to where a 2-year term may end up to where it's 3 or 4 years length, or whatever it would be. So I'm taking my time with that. And then the other thing I've been considering is finances and investments. So I've been trying to look into different things like the stock market, crypto, gold, silver standard, what else? CDs, just different things like that. IRAs, I think that's another thing. So it's just looking at each different way to where I can make money work for me, even though it's a small portion that I'm slowly building up. So then it's the whole thing of, okay, I'm spending time doing that. What am I doing to de-stress? Well, I've gotten to the point to where, and I don't know if anyone agrees with me on this, but the modern games, they just fucking suck. Same bullshit, all repetitive. AAA games are just god-awful. It's just the same shooters or same garbage that's spewed in your face. Nothing's really different. Everyone's hyped in it for about a month, and then they move on to something else. That sort of thing. So I got bored of a lot of that stuff, and I just kind of quit completely. I was on Discord for a long time, and I decided I'm kind of done with that. So those of you who were in my Discord, who were like keeping up to date with my stuff, like my streams and stuff, that's kind of why I left. Because I was getting kind of bored of everything. I was getting tired of everything. Everything was just so toxic online too. Not to mention, it's like I made good online friends, but then I started realizing who were really friends and who were just friendly acquaintances at the end of the day. So I started kind of distancing myself from some of these people, because it just felt like they were not taking things serious as far as like friendship and whatnot, or they were just kind of zoned out in their own world, or just all sorts of other things. And it's not necessarily to put the blame on them. They're not obligated to do that sort of thing. It's just, for me personally, there was things I wanted to kind of have grow with the online people that I befriended, but it just didn't happen. There's a couple of people I keep in touch with, but so I leave Discord. I leave a lot of the gaming stuff, and I've kind of left streaming too. I'm doing YouTube still a little bit. Don't know how much longer I want to do that. I may make a new channel kind of talks about different stuff. I don't know yet. I'm still kind of debating. But I've decided to kind of focus on different priorities in life. And so the other thing I was going to add is with the jiu-jitsu stuff, I've been doing that pretty consistent too. Well, I've had some on and off days, but I've been trying to go as consistently as I can to where it'd be like at least a few days a week or so. But then they eventually, there was something going on with the lease with the landlords, and my instructor, he had to move, and till this day of me recording this video, still in the process of moving. So what have I been doing in the meantime? I've been putting more time in the gym. So that's pretty much my new de-stressor too. So it's covering the whole thing with what gaming gave me, and it's also giving me physical activity. I'm even with two personal trainers. I'll see either one of them once a week, and then I'll have spare, like, the off days, just kind of doing my own thing for the most part. So a lot of people at the gym, a lot of people that you can interact with. I've already interacted with some people already, not even just the personal trainers, but other people that do go out to work out or whatever. I've interacted with some of them. So I'm getting some social interaction outside of the workforce, which is good. But is it enough? No, it's not. And that's when we get to the whole dating thing. Okay, how are you going to do that? Are you going to use an app? Probably not, because apps are complete garbage. And this isn't about everyone, but there's a lot of toxicity in those fucking apps. Because, not to mention, you are judging each of these people based off of pictures and little things that they put in their descriptions, and that's it. So how do you know if they're legit, or how do you know if they're cool? You don't until you actually swipe right or whatever it is, and then you realize that it's not worth it. Thankfully, I say thankfully, but probably thankfully, I haven't had a match with anyone yet, so I've kind of decided I wanted to stop using the app. One, because it's like no matches are happening, and two, I've started thinking more about it. It's like I feel bad swiping left on some of these people, because it's like I'm just judging them off of what they've put as well as their pictures, and they're doing the same thing. And they have, like, women, they have such a huge list of guys. It's like you're like way in the back of the line. A lot of us are, unless if you have the high paid membership with the fucking app. And who wants to waste that much money just to find someone that is not interested in the slightest? No one. And yet people still do it because they're desperate and lonely and all that sort of shit. So I've kind of decided to stop doing that whole thing. So how do I solve that? I'm currently in that process. It's just kind of looking around, meeting people, that sort of stuff. I already know what I need to do. It's just, it's one of those things that takes time. Not time consuming, it's just a time taking thing where there's a process on it. Because that's one thing I've kind of learned. There's certain things you can kind of go immediately to, like the gym or college or whatever, or start an investment if you have the money. But then it's like, as far as like befriending people or making relationships, not even just dating, but just friendly relationships, it takes time. I've been having the thoughts for me personally to where it's like I've felt like I've been an outcast of outcasts, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that same way too, and their whole social queue, to where it's like they feel like, oh, if I want to stay with this group of people that I've known, I have to do everything they're doing, and if I don't, then it's like they'll just boot me out. Well, I never was really into following the herd if it didn't seem like a reasonable thing to do. So I kind of just dropped out of a lot of that shit. So what's the point of me explaining all this stuff? So start with college. College has been built around giving you certain information and then giving you a report, or I should say, I guess just the degree, pretty much building you a little record saying, oh, you know, you are certified in knowing all this information, even if you don't, even if you just studied to try to remember it for a temporary basis, kind of like you probably did in high school or even middle school. I wouldn't say elementary, maybe, that's a stretch, but more so high school or maybe middle school. It's the whole trying to remember what I learned and hope something sticks with me till the very end kind of thing. And usually, unless if you are a really solid memory, it usually doesn't stick very well. So you forget about it. So then you're thrown into looking for a good job or a full-time position. So you look at these jobs online and you see required work experience 2+ years, required work experience 4+ years, all sorts of different things like that. They require that you need the degree, which you have, sure, but you don't have the work experience in that job position. So what's the point? Well, you're going to have to really start broadening your horizon to find something that requires the degree and is the job position you were looking for, but is a shitty one. So you pretty much have to start from the bottom, just like everybody else that didn't go for that degree. Everyone else. And you probably already knew you had to start from the bottom because you probably had a part-time job to even pay for the college. So you're just starting at the bottom of a job position you thought you would enjoy. Well, a few things happen. One, you're not making as much money as you wanted to make, so now you're in a little bit of debt, and if you went to a university and didn't have that money prior, you're going to be in even more debt because of student loans. So you're screwed financially. You're not happy with the position because it's not a really good working area. People are toxic in the workforce, or you're just not getting the whole task or ideal of what you're supposed to be doing because you're just thrown into a pit and they expect you to know it because, oh boy, your degree says you do. But in reality, they didn't teach you the specifics of what you need to know. So you're pretty much unhappy at that point. So that's kind of the situation on college. That's why people kind of give up on that whole thing with work, with a career, I should say more so. So at that point, if you knew this prior, it was like, oh, well, this is terrible. What do I do? It's like, okay, how do I want to plan to make good money? I need to build money, probably find a job that pays decent and isn't too stressful, but it's kind of just weeding out the branch, experimenting, kind of looking around, trying one thing, see if you like it. If you don't, try another thing, see if you like it. If you don't, compare the two, see what you did like and don't like, and try to find something that has more of those pros and less of those cons and go from there. But regardless, every job's going to be stressful. Every job's going to have bullshit. That's just the reality of it. So it's like, okay, you finally find that job. That's great. But can you use it for the rest of your life? Can you stay at this job for the rest of your life, being able to build a family and all sorts of other stuff? Well, considering how, I hate talking about politics, but considering how politics are and taxes are drastically increasing every single solitary time when a politician says something stupid, probably not. So then you have to think, maybe I need a second job. Maybe I need to start investing. Maybe I need to get a loan. Maybe I need to build credit. If I even have the ability to start building credit. Which there's ways to start building credit. Just full disclaimer if you don't know. But just there's all of these things you have to think about now. So now it's like you have to spend more time doing that. And then there's less time being spent on socializing and de-stressing. So then it's like, how do you find the fine line? Okay. So let's go branch out before we answer any of that stuff. Let's kind of branch out a little bit and start talking about if you put more time in de-stressing or socializing or any of that stuff. So you're out of school, you don't talk to any of the high school guys, or if you do, you barely even talk to them, and you're kind of just there by yourself, and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? I'm kind of lonely, I'm kind of depressed, I want to talk to people, I want to find my group, my people, or whatever. Okay, where are you going to find people that are your age or whatever? Or if you don't care your age, if they're your age, then where can I just find people in general? Well, one place is the gym. It's an area you go de-stress. But do you want to talk to those people? Well, some maybe, some may not. Just kind of depends. But you haven't talked to some of these people. You haven't started interacting with these people before, so they're complete strangers to you. So how do you bring a conversation at that rate? Do you just go up to them while they're working out, being like, "Hey, you wanna go hang out? You wanna go do stuff?" No, that usually doesn't work. Especially if it's like someone that you're attracted to. It's like you're gonna scare people off, and then you're gonna get shunned, and then not to mention you're gonna be demotivated to go to the gym because you're gonna think people are judging you, and they probably are. Maybe not, but they might. And you're gonna think, well, this sucks, I quit. So now your de-stressor's gone and it turned into a stressor, and your social skills have plummeted. So then it's like, okay, what do I do? Then it's like you consume all sorts of stuff on social media, or you consume a lot of video games, and you're just letting your brain rot. That's what I did. Whenever I didn't have people to talk to or whatever, pretty much was on social media or YouTube. There's still times I'm on YouTube on my free time, or Facebook looking at memes, and just not really doing anything else, just wasting away the day. But you get tired of that. It gets boring. You get drained. And then you start wondering, what is my purpose in life? I'm struggling with work, struggling with making ends meet, struggling with finding friends or dating or building a family or any of that. What is the point? I can't get any of this to add up. What do you do? That's what I've been asking myself. That's for damn sure. So, here's kind of what I gathered. You kind of want to find a way to moderate each thing to where they can intertwine and kind of make it to where you're not overwhelming yourself, to where it's like you still have time to like sleep, for example. Because if you don't have time to sleep, then you're gonna fucking, go insane. So that's probably not a good idea. I wouldn't advise anyone just get sleep deprived if you have the option not to. So just full disclaimer there. So if it was one of those things I could play it back, I think I may have an idea as to how I may want to do it. So it's, for starters, first thing I want to do is start looking at different jobs that are out there. Because I need money. I just got out of school. I need money. Sure, college is going to be great, but let me see what I can find while I'm not in college that can make ends meet. Let me build up a resume. Let's make things work out. So I'll look at these places, do different interviews, build up my experience with my interview skills, and eventually get hired. Do I like the job? Who knows? Let's say I do. Great. I'm putting in more time, gaining more experience, more knowledge, even if it's something as simple as warehouse work or cashiering. Still gaining knowledge, still learning. Maybe not as much as I may have hoped for, but I'm gaining knowledge. And not to mention, if it's a job where you're out in front of the public, you're starting to get social interaction. You're starting to get interaction with your coworkers, the people that you're helping, just different things like that. So you're starting to kind of build up. Okay, what do you do to de-stress? Find a hobby. Find something that gets your mind occupied, not focusing on work. Get you zoned out. You can do gaming, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously don't do it too much, because then your brain's going to start deteriorating from all the constant bullshit that's out there. At least in my opinion. You can go on social media and do research on investments, just different ideas, hobbies, just all sorts of stuff. Get ideas and get inspired. Or you can watch stupid bullshit like the I don't know, just toxic pranks or whatever. I don't know, just shit like that. Or the latest drama alert. That shit's dead, actually. Funny enough. But it's just trying to find what you want to do to de-stress. So you can do that stuff. You can even go to the gym. That's probably what I do. So get a gym membership. Nothing too expensive. Just something that's simple, to where you can go in, work out, be done. So you got a job, it's paying you money, saving up for college, little by little. Not too crazy, but little by little. And going to the gym. Okay, cool. So you go to the gym, work out, get de-stressed. What do you do after that? You've talked to people at the gym, got a little bit more social interaction there. You've talked to people at work, got a little bit of social interaction there. But as far as befriending people, how do you do that? Yeah, you can still do it at the work, you can still do it at the gym. Those are great places to do it. But you have to build rapport, just like anywhere else. You go to the park, you build rapport. You go to the bar, build rapport. It just depends on where you kind of feel comfortable at. And usually hobbies are the best way to do it. So if you don't know what hobbies you like, go out there and expand your knowledge. Look for things that that you think seem interesting and try it out. If you don't like it, whatever. You tried. Met some people, cool. Try something else. So you're doing that. And then you're building a little bit of money up. And then you're thinking to yourself, man, I really need to get some more money because of this gym memberships starting to add up to my other bills. And I'm wanting to eventually get a nicer car or a nice place to stay or whatever. So how can I start doing that? Okay. Start putting more time into doing research on A, investments, B, financial decisions, and C, possible career paths. So you don't have to be in that semi-decent job forever. Unless if you want to, then that's on you. But it's the whole thing of finding the right order of things. And I feel like these schools, they don't give you that right order because they expect you to just get out, do college, get straight to a job, and you're done. And you've done everything you need to do. You found everything aligned perfect. Well, in reality, that's bullshit. And probably the order I said probably won't even work that exact way. Maybe you'll have to where you go to the gym first because you kept going to the gym in high school. Or maybe you've been looking at investments before. Or maybe you decided, hell, I'm gonna go to college now because I already have the money for it. Who knows? You got Christmas money from grandparents or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't know your life. So it's kind of one of those. It's just, you think, okay, what's the best possible route to make things kind of work? And if it doesn't, how can I fall back, reevaluate, and bounce back even farther than where I was stuck? It's just kind of that whole thing. We get so demotivated because we keep getting kicked in the ass over things that we can't control or can't help or that isn't our fault. So it's like, what do? It's like you already found someone that you're dating and that works out great, or eventually your partner's cheating on you or something happens, or y'all get in an argument and you say fuck you to each other and then y'all leave or whatever. It's like that gets you in a bad spot. So it's like, okay, what do you do then? Who knows? Well, you get your ass back up and you start looking around. Simple. So the whole point of what I'm saying with this whole thing is it's not worth giving up. It's not worth just saying, oh, I'm just gonna isolate myself and not do anything anymore in life. It's one of those, it's like, okay, you didn't have your cards set right. Which one, that's probably not your fault. You've been taught this bullshit by the school, maybe even your parents, who the fuck knows, or your guardians or whatever. They were feeding you wrong bullshit. So it's like, okay, how do I know what I enjoy? We'll start by getting a job. Then, while you're working that job, getting a little bit of money, saving up for a degree or whatever that you still don't know about, on that spare time that you're like, man, I don't know what to do. Well, duh, just fucking look and see what things you're interested in. What sounds cool to work in. It's like, there's the whole thing of people turn their hobbies into jobs. Personally, I can't do that. Well, maybe. I don't know. The reason I say that is because I don't want it to where something I've enjoyed, where it's like, yeah, you can get paid for something that you enjoyed, becomes something I no longer enjoy and I want to just get out of. So, that's just kind of my thoughts, but let you guys know what you think in the comments. That's just kind of my rant. Can't think of much else on that whole thing, but at the end of the day, you just can't give up with this whole thing. There's no point. It's like, I've made friends with people that are way older than me, a couple that are around my age. I've met people online, stuff like that. Some of them may just be friendly acquaintances. Some of them I feel like I can consider as friends, but it's like, you gotta realize, whenever you become an adult and you get thrown into this big horizon, you will find unlikely allies and all sorts of other obstacles that you would have never expected. You'll get curveballs left and right that you would have never thought would have ever happened in your life, or couldn't even imagine, and they happen. So have a kind of a general consensus, or whatever the fuck the word is. Have a general idea of what you want your plan to be. And if something doesn't work, okay, let's see why it didn't work. Let's look around and see what other options we got. It's like the whole thing of, okay, I got this hammer here. I want to fix this. Well, hammer wasn't working. What other tools are around? Grab them. You can't find a tool around where you're at? Start looking. Simple. Go to a hardware store. You'll find plenty of tools. You have to go to the right place. You have to look for where you can get these resources. If you aren't willing to do that, you're fucking yourself over at the end of the day. That's really what it boils down to. And doing that, it's like, it's so important. I can't stress it enough. I really can't. And this is coming from someone who, in my opinion, I feel like I've wasted a good few years of my life just either dwelling on the internet or falling back, giving up, feeling hopeless, going to an outpatient facility, which thankfully I wasn't crazy enough to go inpatient. No, I say crazy, but more so, But it was the whole thing of giving up, being hopeless, wasting my time moping. It's like, I just completely gave up back then. If you do that, you're gonna waste more time and you're gonna kick yourself in the ass over it, thinking, wow, I keep doing that, and then you're just gonna keep harping and it's gonna be a catch-22. It's like, I'm stuck in this hole and I keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I hate being in this hole, but I'm still digging deeper. Okay, stop digging deeper. Get the fuck out of the hole. Simple. Dig simple. So, that's kind of my rant. You guys know what you think. If you have any experiences you want to share or anything you want me to talk about, just let me know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Peace.